In this video, we'll understand what are S3 storage classes and how these storage classes will help you reduce the cost of storing your data in S3. So let's get started. This topic is kind of boring, but at the same time it's very important. Whether you want to manage your S3 cost for your project or if you're attempting to write any AWS certification exam, you can expect 2 to 5 questions on the storage classes, varying difficulty. I'll try to explain you people this topic in an interesting way. So at last we'll have a fun quiz on this topic. So what are these S3 storage classes? This is the technical definition of the storage class. I grabbed this from the AWS documentation. AWS offers a variety of storage classes that balances retrieval time, accessibility and durability to optimize storage costs. So what does this mean? In simple terms, AWS provides different types of storage options and each one has a trade-off between speed, availability, durability and cost. For example, if you need the data that was stored in S3 bucket frequently, you need to pay more for the fast access. But if you rarely access the data, AWS offers some cheaper storage options, but it may take hours to retrieve your data. So if one storage class has high speed and high cost, other might have some low speed and low cost. Before going to the different kinds of storage classes, let's have a look at what is the difference between durability and availability. Durability ensures your data isn't lost due to any hardware failures, corruptions or any other issues over time. Availability ensures that you can access your data whenever you want without any delays or outages. So now let's have a look at what are the different kinds of storage classes that AWS offer as of 2025. There are total 8 storage classes as of 2025. S3 Standard, S3 Standard Infrequent Access, Express One Zone, S3 One Zone Infrequent Access, S3 Glacier Instant Retrieval. This is a new storage class. AWS introduced this in 2021. Next is S3 Glacier Flexible Retrieval. The previous name of this storage class is S3 Glacier. Next is S3 Glacier Deep Archive. At last, S3 Intelligent Tiering. Now let's learn each storage class in detail. I'll try to explain this as brief as possible so that it doesn't sound boring, covering the differences between each storage class. First is S3 Standard. This is a default storage class. When you upload an object to an S3 bucket, if you don't mention to which storage class your object belongs to, then AWS automatically puts your object in this storage class. This storage class is for frequently accessed data. Now let's look at the features of this storage class. Durability is 99.999, these are 11 nines, and availability is 99.99%, highly available. For every storage class, this durability is same and availability changes. As I already said, durability is how safely the data is stored in AWS, and in every storage class the data is stored securely, and that's why every storage class has same durability. And availability is 99.99%. which means objects stored in this storage class is unavailable for just 0.01% in a year. That means objects are unavailable for not more than 52 minutes per year. And that's what highly available means. How this storage class can achieve that much availability? Because data is stored in multiple availability zones. And retrieval time is within milliseconds. So when to use this S3 standard storage class? Website hosting and app data. When you want to store any images, videos or files of your app or a website in S3 bucket, you need fast access here, right? Then you can use this storage class. Similarly, this storage class can be used in content distribution, big data analytics and gaming where frequent access is required. Now let's look at the cost of storing our object in this storage class. You need to pay per GB of storage, which is around $0.023 per GB per month as of 2025. You need to pay per request and there is no retrieval fees and there is no minimum storage duration charge. Next is S3 Standard Infrequent Access. This storage class is designed for the data that is less frequently accessed but requires rapid access when needed. Durability is same 99.11 nines. Availability is 99.9%, slower when compared to S3 Standard. Here also data is stored in multiple availability zones. Here also retrieval time is within milliseconds. So when to use this storage class? When you access your data less than once in a month but needs immediate availability, then you can use this S3 Standard Infrequent Access storage class. When you want to reduce the storage cost compared to S3 Standard without sacrificing the performance, then you can use this storage class. So what is the cost of storing the object in this storage class? You have to pay per GB, which is 50% less when compared to S3 Standard. You have to pay per request and you will be having an additional retrieval fees, which is not present in S3 Standard. If you think of storing your data in this storage class for frequent access, as the cost is less when compared to Standard, because of this retrieval fees and per request fees, you have to pay more when compared to S3 Standard. So choose wisely. This storage class is used to store backups and some log files and long-term data stores where data is not frequently accessed. Next storage class is S3 Express One Zone. This is designed for the high performance. As the name suggests, it's a single availability zone storage. This storage class sacrifices redundancy for speed and supports hundreds and thousands of requests per second. Data in this storage class is accessed extremely frequent, that is multiple times per second, within single digit millisecond, which is up to 10 times faster than S3 standard. You have to use directory bucket instead of general purpose bucket to use this storage class. This storage class is a single availability zone. There is a risk of data loss if the availability zone fails. Use this storage class for non-critical or replicated data. Availability is 99.95% because of single availability zone. You have to pay per GB and the cost is higher than all the other storage classes. As this storage class is for high performance and you'll get a single digit milliseconds response, and you have to pay per request, and this is 50% less than S3 standard. And there is no retrieval fees, and there is no minimum object size, and the minimum storage duration is 1 hour. So when to use this storage class? When the data is accessed constantly and the performance is top priority, such as live streaming, AI/ML workloads, and real-time analytics and logging, where we need high performance and data is accessed constantly. Next storage class is S3 one zone infrequent access. This storage class is designed for the data that is less frequently accessed, just like standard infrequent access, but it is cheaper than that because the data is present in only one availability zone. Availability is just 99.5%, and the cost of storing in this storage class you have to pay per GB, and this is 20% less than standard infrequent access. You have to pay per request, and there is a retrieval fees, and the minimum storage duration is 30 days, and the minimum object size is 128 KB. Except per GB cost, everything else is same as standard infrequent access. So when to use this storage class? So when you want to store secondary backups or temporary snapshots that can be recreated. When you want to store non-critical data that is infrequently accessed. In these scenarios, you can use this one zone infrequent access storage class. Next storage class is Glacier Instant Retrieval. This storage class is designed for rarely accessed data that requires immediate and millisecond latency retrieval, just like S3 standard. This storage class is for long-lived data and which is accessed once in 3 months. And availability is 99.9%. You have to pay per GB, and this cost is 82% less than standard. And you have to pay per request, and you have to pay per retrieval fees. Did you observe here? Per GB cost is less. Per GB cost is less, and per request cost and retrieval fees are higher when compared to standard. So AWS balances the cost. Minimum storage duration is 90 days. As I already said, this storage class is for the data that is accessed once in 3 months. Minimum object size is 128 KB. So when to use this storage class? When there is very infrequent access of data, for example a few times in a year, but requires an immediate retrieval when needed. For example, in healthcare, the patient records are stored long term but retrieved instantly during patient visits. Legal documents or research papers are stored long term but requires millisecond latency when required. Next storage class is Glacier Flexible Retrieval or S3 Glacier. This storage class is designed for very rarely accessed data. For example, once or twice in a year with flexible retrieval options. Glacier Flexible Retrieval and Glacier Deep Archive works differently when compared to other storage classes. When you store your object in this storage class, objects are stored as compressed and optimized form. But when you want to retrieve them, they are temporarily copied to S3 standard storage class for access. For retrieving, you need to initiate a retrieval job. While initiating the retrieval job itself, you have to mention up to how many days the copy of the object stays in the standard storage class. After that, object will be removed from the standard storage class. When you want to retrieve again, you need to again initiate the retrieval job. While initiating a retrieval job, you need to specify a retrieval tier, which determines the speed and cost. S3 Glacier Flexible Retrieval storage class offers 3 retrieval options based on your needs. Expedited retrieval tier, standard retrieval, and bulk retrieval. In expedited retrieval tier, retrieval time is 1 to 5 minutes. It's best for urgent data access, but the object size is limited to 250 MB. This is the cost per GB retrieved. Next is standard retrieval. Retrieval time is 3 to 5 hours. This is a default tier and there is no object size limit, and this is a cost per GB retrieved. And the last tier is bulk retrieval. Here the retrieval time is 5 to 12 hours. This tier is best for retrieving large datasets, which is cost effective. And there is no object size limit, and this is a per GB retrieved cost. Very less when compared to other 2 tiers. I'll now recap what I said till now in this storage class. You will store an object that was accessed once or twice in a year in this Glacier Flexible Retrieval storage class, and the object was stored in a compressed and optimized format because you barely need the data. And when you want it while retrieving, you initiate a retrieval job. There you have to specify a tier, expedited, standard or bulk, based on the speed or cost of retrieval of your choice. Then a copy of object will be created in standard storage class. And you also have to mention up to how many days a copy will stay in standard storage class. Now let's look at the cost of storing the data in this storage class. This will be interesting. You'll have a per GB cost. This is 86% less than standard. You'll have a per request fees and retrieval fees. So what happens when you initiate a retrieval job? You'll have to pay per request and the retrieval fees depending on the tier. And a copy of object will be stored in the standard storage class. So when you access that copy, the request fees corresponding to the S3 standard storage class will be applied. So how many times you access the copy? Request fees corresponding to the S3 standard will be applied, not this S3 Glacier. Minimum object duration is 90 days and no minimum object size. AWS adds an extra 40 KB per object regardless of the object size. So you have to store fewer and larger objects instead of many smaller objects. So when you can use this storage class? Same as Glacier instant retrieval but delayed retrievals. Next storage class is S3 Glacier Deep Archive. This storage class is designed for extremely rare access, once in every few years, with the lowest storage cost when compared to all the other storage classes and ideal for storing a long-term data. Availability is same 99.9%, similar to other Glacier storage classes. Similar to flexible retrieval, objects are stored in deep archival format and requires a restoration job when you want to access them. But retrieval times are very long due to its ultra low cost design for extremely rare access. And that's why there are only two tiers here, standard and bulk, and there is no expedited option. This retrieval cost is same as Glacier flexible retrieval. Now let's look at the cost of storing an object here. You have to pay per GB. This is 95.7% less than standard. Very cheap storage when compared to other storage classes. You have to pay per request. This cost is similar to flexible retrieval. You have a retrieval fees that depends on tier, and minimum object duration is 180 days. And there is no minimum object size, but there is a 40 KB overhead. So when this storage class can be used? For example, a bank stores 10 years of transaction logs and they access these logs once or twice in few years. Museums, libraries and research institutions preserve the historical or cultural assets. In this situation, this Glacier Deep Archive can be used. And the last storage class is S3 Intelligent Tiering. Till now we have seen many storage classes. In all these storage classes, you have to know how frequently you access the data. What if you don't know how frequently the object stored in the bucket is accessed? Then in which storage class you will put this kind of object? That's where intelligent tiering comes in. This storage class is designed to optimize costs by automatically moving objects between different storage classes based on changing access patterns. This storage class is ideal for the data where access frequency is unpredictable. Firstly, when you store an object in this intelligent tiering storage class, this storage class puts the object in S3 standard storage class. All the objects start here. Object stays in this tier as long as it's accessed regularly. Next, object moves to S3 standard infrequent access storage class after 30 consecutive days of no access, which saves 50% storage cost compared to S3 standard. This we already know. Next, object moves to Glacier instant retrieval after 90 consecutive days of no access, which saves up to 82% when compared to S3 standard. This also we already know. That's it. Intelligent tiering doesn't move objects between Glacier flexible retrieval or Glacier deep archive, as this requires retrieval jobs, which doesn't work well for automated tiering. If you want to move data to these Glacier storage classes, then you have to set up a lifecycle policy, which we'll learn in the next video. Now let's look at the cost of storing data in this storage class. Here also you have to pay per GB. This depends on the storage class. That means if intelligent tiering puts the object in standard, then you have to pay according to the standard. If intelligent tiering puts object in infrequent access, then you have to pay according to the infrequent access. You have to pay per request. This also depends on storage class. And there is no retrieval fees. Even if the intelligent tiering puts the object in standard infrequent access or Glacier, AWS won't charge retrieval fees. That's what the beauty of this intelligent tiering storage class is. And there is a small monitoring fees as AWS has to monitor the data. And there is no transition fees, which means when this intelligent tiering storage class puts the object from one storage class to other storage class, and this operation is completely free. I just wanted to clarify one more thing here. Objects move between tiers within a single intelligent tiering storage class, not between separate storage classes. And there is no minimum object size, but when the object size less than 128 KB is uploaded, then this intelligent tiering puts the object in S3 standard only. Now it's quiz time. Let's have a fun quiz on what we have learned till now. Which storage class is best for very frequently accessed data? S3 standard, S3 express one zone or intelligent tiering? And the answer is S3 express one zone. This storage class has to be used when you want to access data multiple times in a second. And the next question is, which of the following storage classes has no retrieval fees? S3 standard infrequent access, Glacier instant retrieval or intelligent tiering? And the answer is intelligent tiering. This doesn't have any retrieval fees. And the next question is, when you want to access your data once or twice in a year and you don't care much about the retrieval time, then which storage class you will choose? Glacier instant retrieval or Glacier flexible retrieval or Glacier deep archive? And the answer is Glacier flexible retrieval. In Glacier flexible retrieval, we have three retrieval options: expedited, standard and bulk. Expedited takes 1 to 5 minutes, standard retrieval takes 3 to 5 hours, and bulk retrieval takes 5 to 12 hours to retrieve the data. And the next question is, for suppose you want to access your data once in a year, which storage class you will choose? Glacier flexible retrieval, or intelligent tiering? And the answer is intelligent tiering, as this doesn't have any retrieval fees. In intelligent tiering, though at first standard infrequent access storage costs are applied, but that was smaller when compared to the Glacier flexible retrieval's retrieval fees. And the last question is, which among the two storage classes has lesser storage cost? S3 one zone infrequent access or S3 standard infrequent access? And the answer is S3 one zone infrequent access because of its reduced availability. Okay, that's it for this video. I hope you liked it. In the next video, we'll look at S3 lifecycle policy. Thanks for watching and subscribe for more content on cloud, DevOps and programming.